You could create or download a research diary. This is one from a template I've created, and I'll show you where to find that in a moment. It's broken down into 3 sections. We've got the plan, the tools, and your log. So I like to have a printout of the plan so that I can jot down any leads or terms that I see as I go on without having to lose my place on screen. But the tools and the log I usually keep online, and this way I can save any screenshots or any links to articles that I find in here. Now you might be thinking, no way, but you'll find if you just click on your favorites and save them in one place that you'll end up with dozens, and that's great. But in a couple of weeks when you come back to look at them, you'll have to reread them, which is the good ones. So a little bit of organization early on will save you a lot of trouble later. You could save simply into one place to start with and then separate them out into various places as they start to build up. Some people like to print out their articles. I've got a load here, but you can end up just swimming in printouts. And while they may be easier to read in a printed way, you'll miss out on a lot of those good functions that computers do so well, like find, which I'll show you soon.
So here is where to find the research diary template. Library Services, scroll down to my research diary. As I said, I like to print out this page because I will handwrite in other sources to follow up. This page I generally just make a new document, and this page is where I will be saving links and things. So you don't have to do it like this. It works for me. You do what works for you. Now also I use Google Docs. And here I've created my big research project. In it I've got this documents for the tools, which I've called searches. Here is where I've done screenshots of the searches I've done. I've said where I'm keeping things, given my passwords, and I've made notes to myself about which ones are good ones to follow up. You can see this is the Google search that I've done. Now, these 2 folders, really good articles, may be worth using. I've saved things here 2 different ways. This is where I've clicked on the Save the PDF. Did you notice those ones? In these results list, if there's a PDF, you can save it direct to the cloud, like this one. If I wanted to save that, I would then click on Google Drive because that's the one I use, but you can use your Dropbox or your OneDrive. However, saving it that way doesn't really give me the opportunity to write any notes to myself about it. And here I've done something differently in this document. I've copied and pasted over the title and the citation and also the permalink, and I've made some notes to myself about it. I've noticed that this is the key article. I'm going to be using this one a lot. Here's something else that I found is good. It's a website. Back in my maybe folder, same thing. I've saved a PDF, but I've got a document here with some other things that I've made notes to myself about. For example, this information here from the Ministry of Health, which looks really useful, it's actually old information, and I'm going to be looking for some more. But I'll just click on this and show you how you can use that find function. Right? This web page has the search box. If it didn't, or regardless of that, I'm going to click on the Control F, or if you've got a Mac, it's Command F to bring up this thing here. You can see I'm looking for youth, and it's taking me straight to it. Nice. Saves a lot of reading. In Search Everything, beware of this Add to My Folder link unless you have signed in to an EBSCOHost account that you have created. If you haven't signed in, whatever you save will not be there next time. Therein lies heartbreak. You might want to consider creating an account with EBSCO. Here's where you create a new one. I already have one. Check here to see your name. Right, now it's saved. And in fact, here's a sign that I have signed in because I've set up these other folders and I can save it to one of these. At the moment it's just in my folder. You might want to consider creating one of these because not only can you save individual articles, you can also, as I showed you before, save that particular kind of search and it will run it again as if you set up an alert. This is where you can keep a link to the search as well, so that if you want to copy and paste this into your files, your research log, you can then just click on that to run the search again. However, access to your EBSCOHost account is reliant on your library. If you're no longer at an institution that subscribes, like North Tech or the DHB, you won't be able to access this service or any of your saved results any longer. Now that might not matter, but if you're planning on postgraduate study, do bear that in mind. When you've found a likely article in Search Everything, there are other options too. When you click on the title, you'll see this right-hand pane. Here's the Google Drive link again. This is where you can save it to EBSCO once you've signed in, remember. You've got print. You can email this to yourself, or if you know your colleague is working on the same topic, you can share them that way. You can save here to a memory stick or something. This is the cite function I mentioned. Export, ignore that unless you have a subscription to something like EndNote. Now, create note, that's within EBSCOHost. The permalink. Now, this is important. This is the link you should use if you're going to be saving this article. You will notice that there is a URL up here, but this part where it says Session Manager indicates that this is a temporary URL. And once you have logged out of the session, this will not work anymore. If you have saved that just by saving the URL, you're in for trouble. It won't work. Now, this link here that looks as two links of a chain, this is a standard web icon for a persistent link, permalink or persistent link. If you ever see this link, whether it's in Search Everything or on an ebook or any database at all, that's the link that you should be using. I've said you should be saving the citation as you go. Search Everything has this handy cite function. We use APA, but it's generated by a machine, and you might have to correct it before you enter it into your reference list. So do check it against a reference guide like North Tech's APA guide or any of the online ones that you might use here. Especially if it's an edited book, because Search Everything doesn't know which chapter you used. You'll have to enter the chapter details as well. Now, if you use a Word document, you might be curious about this References tab. Now, it's a citation or bibliographic management system where you can enter the details when you first use a source, and automatically adds it in text as you build your reference list, and it helps you build your reference list. That sounds really good, but it doesn't tell you how those details should be entered. Do you put the author's full name, or just does their surname come first, or do you just put the surname and the initial? If you're not sure, this is where you could find the information in the cite function and enter it from here once you've decided it's correct if you've checked it against the APA guide. Now, there are videos on using this online, and I've placed one here on the APA guide using Microsoft Word's referencing tool. This function is only available in Word, I'm afraid. It's not available in Google Docs.
However you organise yourself is entirely over to you, but you just don't want to be sitting in front of your computer thinking, where was that really good article I saw? In the next video, we're going to be looking at going from your Search Everything search results to other databases, moving on from Search Everything. Thanks for watching. Ka kite anō.